Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is the Town of Somers Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is June 11th, 2019. Denise, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Carpenetto?
Here.
Ms. DiPolito?
Here.
Mr. Gio?
Here.
Mr. Hornet?
Here.
Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Santoroni?
Here.
Chairman Canestra?
Here.
Thank you.
I request everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. First item on the agenda this evening is a carryover from our last meeting. This is the application of Bernadette Carnow, Dennis, and Kathleen Halligan. This is an application to amend a special exception use permit of moving an existing two-bedroom accessory apartment from the second floor to the basement, as well as an area variance because the apartment exceeds the 800 square foot limitation. This is an apartment located in an R80 residential district at 149 Route 100, Katona. Is the applicant here this evening? If you could just please come up to the microphone and just give us your name and address.
Sure. My name is Ian Carnow. Address is 149 Route 100. I'm speaking on behalf of Bernadette.
Okay. And in our last meeting, I believe that we had requested that the Board of Health take a look at the plans because we had some questions as to whether there was a third possible bedroom here. Do we have a result of that?
No, what we decided to do was to be responsive to your comments and concerns about the excessive square footage, we went back and we took a look at the floor plan that we were proposing, and we realized if we eliminated one of the rooms down there, that we could essentially get all the other spaces that we needed, keeping the garage as is and coming in much closer to the 800 square foot allowable. So we have amended the floor plan.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is a new floor plan. I thought this was the same floor plan we were getting back. I didn't
No.
see that.
Nope. So we have now eliminated everything in the garage area. We've put the kitchen where the storage room was. We eliminated the two additional rooms down there. So we will just have one bedroom, proposed living and dining area, the bathroom, hallway, and kitchen, and then we'll have a boiler room and garage. That revised square footage is now 834 square feet, so we would only be seeking a variance for 34 square feet.
Only 34 square feet. So that is much improved. So, okay. So let's see. Right, because the kitchen was, as you had mentioned, in the garage area. Okay, so that has been moved over. You're just going to go with one bedroom as opposed to two?
Correct.
Have a living area there? Okay, I see that.
Correct. And so what we've done is, because we are still a 5-bedroom, is the other question that you had on the first floor was whether the den could be considered a bedroom. We've just allocated that as a bedroom, so we keep the 5. We now have everything in the right spot, and we're only 34 square feet over.
Okay. So our bedrooms before this change, Tom, were the bedrooms before this change 5? Is that where we were at before this?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're still at the same number of bedrooms then? In what we have here, right? Okay, so it looks like the second floor we have 3 bedrooms. First floor, there seems to be 1 bedroom in the corner there, and then there's the 1 bedroom in the basement, which is part of the accessory apartment.
Correct.
And you said Tom, it's 34 feet over the 800 limit for an accessory apartment?
That's what the applicant calculated.
Okay. Much better than we were at, like 1,400 before?
Correct.
Something
Yeah,
quite
something
large,
like
yes. Okay, because I know that was a major concern to many of the board members, that it was way far over.
That's what we
the code
felt.
allows,
That's
right.
why we took another look at it. And
Now, Tom, they have to get a Board of Health approval on this, or?
if they're
is a room that has close proximity to a full bathroom that has privacy that would require a referral to the Board of Health. And I don't see one here.
Yeah, that proposed living dining area seems to have an open way, open access, no door there.
Right.
Now, proposed office, does that mean it could be a bedroom, no, Tommy?
There's a note there, number 1. What is that referred to again?
That's just the revision number. That was revised from the last.
What's the opening dimension there?
For the proposed office,
Yes.
it's I think it's 3.5 feet.
How many feet?
3.5 feet, 3'6".
That's open, yeah, they're talking about, this is the,
Proposed office.
you're talking about the proposed office on the first floor?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no door proposed for that right now, right?
Doesn't look that way.
But you would deal with that separately when issuing the building
I
permit.
would make a phone call down there at a minimum and explain the situation, see if they wanted to have a look at it.
So we're looking at the possibility of granting a variance for 34 square feet above the 800 required. And would this be just a modification of the existing special exception use permit, or are we just granting a new 7-year one at this point in time if we were to grant it? I think it would be new because it is a new location, right? I think it would be granted new.
Well, it's not brand new because there was a prior approval for an accessory
Right.
apartment in the
Yeah,
home.
it's an amended special exception use permit.
Beginning those 7 years from the date we approve it,
Correct.
assuming we do.
Correct.
So is there any technicalities around, obviously this is going to take some time to complete this project, so there's a permit for the upper floor now. We're going to grant the permit for the basement in between.
One would replace the other, right?
There's, permit, would be a permit issued for an alteration to an existing dwelling, which entails alterations on every level of the home. Architect plans would be required for in detail. This is just a simple floor plan, I believe, to present to the board for the consideration. But these plans are far from the detail that I would need to issue a building permit for the alterations.
Right.
Right. But the permit that we issue, or the variance that we issue today,
That's a special exception use permit for the applicant to have an accessory apartment. But the applicant still has to comply with all building codes and
It would
plans.
show
and-
that it was amended, and in the resolution, I would include what previously existed and what it's being changed to.
I mean, if for some reason they decided not to do this project a few months down the road, would what we're going to do today
They would have to come
still
back-
remain in effect?
come back to this board for a renewal of their
The
existing.
existing, okay.
Is the plan still to use this apartment for parents? Is that what the plan
Correct.
is?
Yes.
If the board wanted to put a condition, because we're going over the 800 square feet, that it would only be for your parents, would that be acceptable to you?
And then what would be the case when I sell the house?
Well, keep in mind, when you sell the house, anytime a house is sold, the new buyer has to come before the board to get an approval for the apartment, so we would then address it with them. I don't know if the board's gonna want that, but, when we're varying from the code with the square footage, that's something we can ask for parents or family members, something like that. Not to say we couldn't
That's
change it in the
fine.
future, but,
If it were restricted to family members and that was the way we were able to get our approval, that would be fine.
okay, I'll have to see what the board wants to do here. Any other issues, Tom, that we should be looking at? No? Okay. Any additional questions for the applicant? Any additional discussion we want to have? No. I'd like to open up to the public. Does anybody here have any comments, questions, any issues regarding this application? No? Okay. Sir, did you have anything else for us at this point in time?
Nope.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? How does everybody feel about this? I mean, I think the application is a lot better than it was last month.
Much better.
Yes, because I know there's a lot of concern that this was it was almost, we were going to grant an accessory house, not a accessory apartment. Right, you know, the town limits it, up to 800's allowed, he wants 834.
It's more than fair.
And then it's a question as to whether we want to limit it to family only. Normally, if they're under 800 square feet, we can't put that condition on it, but as soon as we go above 800, we can put a condition on it.
My initial reaction is it's so close that I wouldn't
I
restrict
wouldn't do
it.
it either. Leave it alone. It's close enough to 800.
And also, we're looking, the existing boiler room is in that calculation, which
Yeah.
is servicing, as we talked about, the entire house.
The
So
entire house.
if we deduct that, he would fall right within the limit.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel a condition would be necessary.
Okay. Okay, any final comments, questions, issues?
No.
Nope.
Okay, can we have a motion as the type of action?
Make a motion type 2. Second.
Mr. Carpinetto?
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito?
Aye.
Mr. Gio?
Aye.
Mr. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Mr. Santoroni?
Aye.
Chairman Canestra?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion as to whether we're going to grant or deny the application?
I'd like to make a motion to grant the application for approval for the next 7 years.
Second.
And to also include the area variance of 34 square feet?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Carpinetto?
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito?
Aye.
Mr. Gio?
Aye.
Mr. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Mr. Santoroni?
Aye.
Chairman Canestra?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, your application is granted. Keep in mind, the permit is good for 7 years, then you have to come and visit us once again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good night. The next item on the agenda this evening is that of Robert and Donna Fles. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. Fles. Okay, thank you. This is an application for an area variance for a portion of an existing stockade fence to exceed the height restrictions by 2 feet in an R80 residential district at 1 Otha Drive in Katona. Sir, if you could just give us your name and address and briefly describe the application?
Yeah, Robert Fless, 1 Otha Drive, Katona, New York. I have raised the fence, so about 2 years ago, 8 sections, 64 feet, for the length of our south side of our house and deck. The reason being is Paramount of Somers has increased the activity in that parking lot tremendously in the last 2 to 3 years. And the house is roughly 150 feet from the parking lot, and our property line's roughly 50 feet from the parking lot, give or take. The activity at the parking lot, they have shift changes at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 11 p.m.
Excuse me, what is the business that's next to you here? Or what is the activity?
Paramount of Somers.
The nursing home.
The nursing home. It used to be Somers Manor.
Oh,
Right,
Yeah, it has changed hands in the last 2 or
okay.
3
Right.
years.
Yes, now
Yeah.
that's familiar, okay.
And during the shift changes, that whole parking lot turns over. You're talking just about 100% turnover, 100 cars in, 100 cars out, commotion, tractor trailers turn around there, delivery trucks, it's just ongoing. So primarily, I raised those 8 sections to block the view for privacy and try to eliminate the lights, the car lights, parking lot lights, and, just the commotion. We've witnessed people, employees urinating out there.
Yeah.
There's a there's a dumpster that's continually overflowing in plain sight, and that 2 feet blocks that stuff out.
Okay.
And that's the reason, basically.
So the only one that would,
I'm sorry.
so the only one that would really see this fence is the people in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Primarily?
Yeah, primarily, yeah, because it's, our property line is on, if you look at the survey, it's on the stone wall. The fence sits about 2 feet behind the stone wall. When I put it up originally 25 years ago, I tried to put it behind the trees and bushes, and so it's not
Across the street.
obtrusive.
Right, the fence runs here.
Okay. So if I'm looking at the survey, I'm assuming the line you're talking about is to the left,
Yeah.
right? It's this line right here?
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay, it's not too clear in our,
Yeah,
It's
unfortunately, I
all
had it
on-
color coded.
I understand. Okay,
Yeah, so I raised.
We have them on the screen there, if
Okay.
you want to see.
I know the house very well. Tom, do we have a good side, bad side regulation for fences?
He's at the top there. and-
Correct.
Yeah, right.
So that fence runs right along the road.
Yeah.
I see.
And this view from the street, that's Plumbrook
That's
Street?
Plumbrook, correct. Yes, it is.
So Plumbrook is in between your house and the parking lot?
Yeah, our house sits on the corner of Otha Drive and Plumbrook. We're a corner lot, yes. And our property runs the whole length of that parking lot.
Okay.
And also, just to throw in, it seems Paramount of Somers has designated that rear emergency exit on Plumbrook as an employee smoking area, and also on Otha Drive in front of our home. So we continually, day and night, have people loitering, groups of people smoking, loitering in front of our house. It's really become unbearable,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And
So
you're-
it's,
And you're looking to move the fence from 6 feet is allowed, you're looking to go
Yes.
8 feet along this
yeah.
property
And
line?
I did that about 2 years ago, and I didn't even realize it was illegal.
Right, right. Okay. So this is to make legal what is currently existing?
You got it.
Okay. Of course, we always prefer you come to us before.
I
yes,
didn't
but-
realize that. I
I
apologize
just
for
mentioned
that.
that, yes. That was very helpful.
There you go. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Have you had conversations with them as well about the nuisance? type?
Oh, yes, yeah, and it falls on deaf ears. There's no, and I do have a couple letters from neighbors, if you'd like to read those, that don't have an issue with it, and they know they also have an issue with Paramount Somers and.
Well, this fence would seem to face Plumbrook Road and the parking lot.
That's
It's
all,
not-
yeah,
it's not
it
next to
doesn't
any-
affect anything,
Right,
but yeah.
Doesn't seem to be next to any of the
Yeah,
neighbors'
and it's an
property.
employee parking lot, it's,
Right.
it's a mess back there.
I hope they try to be good neighbors and maybe work with you a little bit on some issues.
Not
there.
so much,
Maybe put up some screening or something they could do there.
not so much.
More so,
In fact, what they have done is they have actually, what little barrier there was between Plumbrook and the parking lot, they've run the backhoe through there and pretty much destroyed any kind of natural barrier.
Yeah.
It's been ugly.
They're just putting up a line of trees or something, or bushes, they could probably mitigate a lot of this.
I would like that.
Okay.
That I wouldn't have an issue with.
Any other discussion we want to have? Any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. Let me go out to the audience. Does anybody here wish to speak in regard to this application? Comments, questions? No? No? Okay. Sir, did you have anything else to add at this time?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and this would be approval for the fence along the southern property line only, right? That's all you're looking for?
That's it, yeah, just the 8 sections I raised to 8 feet, yes.
Okay. We have any further questions, issues?
now, Tom, once we grant this, or excuse me, if we grant this, and if the fence has to be replaced with a different style fence, say for instance, do they have to come in front of us again, or it's a permanent fixture for the A fence period?
If you stipulate the application to a stockade fence, then it would have to remain that if they wanted to change the style of the fence from that.
So it'll be on us to say this style fence,
Correct.
and if there's a change, he'd have to come before us. I assume
Well,
that-
I think he's talking about the fact that the fence is 8 feet.
Right.
So if he replaced it with an 8-foot stockade fence, would that be okay?
be okay, would not need to read.
Right, okay.
Right,
There you go.
but if they change it to a
We wouldn't want to see an 8-foot.
scallop fence or something of that style, they would have to come in front of us.
If you stipulate.
If there was a variance approved for 8-foot high fence with no detail on it, they would not come back to you to change the style of the fence. I don't think it would change the style of the fence.
But, you know,
Unless he was gonna
right,
make
but
it a
no,
wall, right?
I just want to make sure that if we grant this, they, say for instance, if they decide to sell the house 15 years from now, and the new owners want to change the fence to a different style fence, that would be that they would have to come in front of us then.
Yeah, we wouldn't want a, pink aluminum fence, 8 feet tall along the property line,
Right.
obviously.
Obviously.
You might want to put a condition on
We might want to we should maybe put a condition that it should be a
Stockade fence.
wooden stockade fence, and if it changes substantially, it has to have to come back before us. Well, that's a good idea, though, because who knows what a subsequent owner might do.
You never know. And I do not have an issue with that at all.
Even
Oh, yeah.
wooden in uniform color, because as pieces may fall down and you put up new pieces, you could have
Right.
a very different looking fence.
We should request, uniform appearance of the fence.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so maybe the conditions might be a uniform appearance of the fence, and that it be a wood stockade
The
fence.
only thing is, say, because occasionally I do replace sections, and the color, until it fades.
It might take a little time to wet.
It takes,
Yeah,
right,
right,
yeah.
fine.
I mean, it's happening now. I put a couple sections up that are new.
Right.
But it takes a year or two for them to start matching.
As long as you don't,
Sorry.
it's something natural color.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
looking for a
natural color,
multicolor
that's-
fence down the road.
Okay.
there.
If black stockade is on sale, we don't want that going
Not to be
in.
nitpicky, but.
Worried about that pink aluminum.
Okay, any further comments or questions? No. Okay, so let's start with the type of action first. Do we have a motion for the type of action?
Make a motion, type 2?
Second?
Mr. Carpenetto.
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito.
Aye.
Mr. Gio.
Aye.
Mr. Harden.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Santoroni.
I gotta recuse myself.
Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion as to whether we're going to grant or deny the application, and if we grant, what conditions we may put upon it?
I'd like to make a motion to grant the application based on if a section has to be replaced, it would be with a wooden stockade fence.
So you're limiting it to a stockade wooden fence of consistent appearances.
Correct.
Reasonably
Yep.
Natural
possible
wood.
based on weathering
Right.
of the wood. Do we have a second?
Second?
Mr. Carpenetto.
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito.
Aye.
Mr. Gio.
Aye.
Mr. Harden.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Santoroni.
Gotta recuse.
Yes.
Thank you. Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, your application is granted.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda this evening is that of Christine, and please excuse me, Crucis, I think it is, Cruzius Smith. This is an application for an area variance for lot coverage for both the principal building additions and accessory improvements in an R40 residential district at 21 Linway Lane, Somers. Is someone here for the applicant? If you could just give us your name and address.
All right, excuse me, Chairman. Before we get too involved in this particular application, I am going to recuse myself participating in this procedure.
Okay, thank you.
My name is David Tetro. I'm the architect representing the homeowners.
Okay.
The proposed project is a 3-car garage and second-story addition to an existing one-family dwelling. The variance that we are seeking is a lot coverage for the principal building, including a proposed garage, a proposed deck, proposed front porch. And with this application, we are relocating the current driveway from one side of the property to another, greatly reducing the amount of impervious surface that it takes up. Although we are looking for a principal building coverage increase over the zoning allowance, we are cutting back the entire impervious surface by about 296 square feet.
So the existing coverage is non-conforming?
Correct.
right? Is that where, because I couldn't understand that.
Well-
The existing seems to be larger coverage than the proposed.
Yes.
So you're decreasing it, so the existing has to be in excess.
Yes, but that's combined driveway, building, et cetera.
Right.
Currently, the house itself, if you took the footprint of the house, it is within the allowable lot coverage. We are permitted 2,500 square feet roughly for 6% of the total allowable. Currently, that's 2,270, which is 5.4, give or take. We're looking for 4,220, which is 10%. That's the building itself with the deck, the garage, the front porch, et cetera. But because we're relocating the driveway, we are going from 3,800 square feet of driveway to 1,374 square feet. So we are over with the allowable building cover, but we've decreased the net overall footprint of all the building and impervious on the site.
Oh, I think okay. So Tom, what we have here is the principal residence, the lot coverage is only allowed 2,531 here, 6%, and he's going to 4,220, which is 10%. I'm looking at the little
Yes.
zoning table R40,
Yeah.
right?
That
Is
is
that how,
correct.
okay.
But he's actually reduced the
Overall coverage.
driveway.
The driveway's gone from 3,800 square feet down to 1,374.
Right.
So the purpose, Tom, of these percentages relates to impervious surfaces? I mean, even though they're not included, that's the intent?
Pretty much so, yes.
And the deck is considered an impervious surface?
That's how the town code reads, yeah.
Even though underneath the deck, water can flow through, and but they still call it impervious surface. So we're adding a 3-car garage, a deck, and a porch.
Yes.
And can you tell me the number again, if you were to include the reduction in driveway, what was your math there?
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and hopefully this answers your question. The existing driveway is 3,800 square feet. The proposed relocated driveway is 1,374 square feet.
Tom, there's a great little
Yeah, it is.
spec
Right
here, which will, it kind of, this clears up a lot.
Right.
Yeah, if you look in the upper center of the first page, you'll see the box where it says zoning table, and then slightly down to the right, you'll see lot coverage calculations. You can kind of see existing and proposed. So you can see where the driveway is going from 3,807 down to 1,374. House, well, you're keeping the house the same, but then of course we're adding much more for the garage.
Yes.
Right.
The footprint of the livable house is not changing. What's being added to it is a roofed over front porch, the 3-car garage, and the deck in the back.
Right.
So the only thing that we're doing with the house is we are adding a second story over the existing footprint of the house, and we're relocating the bedrooms up to that second floor and rearranging the first floor to be just all livable space.
So Tom, their proposed lot coverage is 5,930 square feet, which is 296 less than what they have now, taking out the driveway. What is the permittable coverage in square footage for this lot? Or maybe you could tell me, sir.
Actually, that I don't know, honestly. I looked through the zoning code, and there was no value for an R40 in the zoning code that I could find.
Of a combined lot coverage?
Of a
they just have
combined
the
lot
elements?
coverage,
Yeah.
correct. It could be there, I just couldn't find it.
Where you just add the two together, the principal and accessory, and that would definitely total. That would
The
be
allowable.
Maximum, yes. Or 9%.
So he was pre-existing non-conforming on this, obviously? That's where he was at?
So Tom, for our purposes, we're only concerned about a variance for lot coverage. We're not concerned about any variance for the second story.
No. We are, no, as a matter of fact, we shifted the addition so that we were within the setbacks, so there's no setback issue. We are under the maximum height for the building height, and the only other item here was building area, but it was a minimum. So we're over the minimum required for the building area. So the second floor addition and the interior work is not, there's no variance requested for that.
But without counting the driveway, we're going from 6% to 10%.
Correct.
I mean, so that's a material amount, but if you do take into consideration the driveway, it's actually reducing
Right.
the overall.
If you look at the big picture, it is less lot coverage than what we have right now.
Right.
Do you know
But
why?
there's more house coverage.
Yeah. Do you know why they don't include the driveway in that calculation, in the code? So in terms of lot coverage in the code would not include driveways,
Well,
right?
for coverage, the driveway is included, but they're just making the driveway a lot smaller than it was before.
Yeah,
But that's not part of the actual calculation.
well, the interesting thing is that there is a site coverage one. Actually, let me not say that. I'm not sure if there is a site coverage or not. I know that when we sat down and spoke, there was the question about the driveway and what we were doing it and how we were reducing the overall footprint of the site. This had gone also to engineering, and they didn't have anything negative to say about it either.
They look at the overall impervious
Mhm.
surface.
Correct.
And implement stormwater practices accordingly.
And I see there are topo lines on here, so this property does have some slope from one corner to the next.
Correct. The house is located almost, kind of almost crests the top of the hill, sort of, and then it comes down to Somerset, the corner of Somerset and
And Linway, yeah.
Linway, thank you.
That driveway was gravel, it's still kind of the same way, Tom? No, that-
Gravel would be pervious, right? But a deck is not considered impervious, is not considered impervious.
Town code says the deck is
Part of impervious surface, okay.
Yeah, and in this instance, the deck is about 520 square feet, so it's not a huge game changer.
beneath the deck.
Grade.
So the biggest variance here is really the size of the house compared to what's allowed. But the house as it is that big. Right?
Yeah, they're not changing the size of the house.
Right, the house is the same. It's the garage. The garage is making, the garage is making it bigger, right.
Right.
And the porch.
And the garage and porch are considered part of the house.
Part of the principal, yeah.
I see. How far is the deck off the ground? Is or will the proposed deck be off the ground? Is this a high deck or?
No, it's a frame deck, but it's only about, I would say, what, about 2 feet, 3 feet perhaps?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a raised deck that would be off of an upper level. The existing house is 1 story. So when you're at the rear of the house and you step out to the yard.
So it's like a foundation height almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to walk out on a
You're
level
walking out and
surface.
you're stepping down maybe 3 steps to the grade.
Right.
Looks like about 2 feet.
You said the garage is a 3-car garage, I believe.
Correct.
Where does the existing driveway?
Currently, the existing driveway comes up to just a couple of exterior parking spaces. It's a dotted line on the left of the house. It goes down to Linway. It's being shown as demolished.
Oh, I see that.
Yep.
Okay, I couldn't figure out where the, okay.
It's a hike from the street.
Okay. And Tom, do they have, to get a curb cut on a new road, have they taken care of all that they gotta do?
We have, it's funny, we have comments back from engineering that all we need to do is some stormwater work during construction. And we have a curb cut application in, but I believe one is waiting to hear back from the other. It's kind of like going back and forth and we're
Right.
not getting a response. But all the paperwork is in for the application for the curb cut, the relocated curb cut.
And you, of course, you expect this to go through and be approved, because without that, this doesn't work.
Correct, yes.
Right.
That might be what they're waiting for too.
And where the driveway was, you're going to put in grass or?
Lawn, or
Lawn.
maybe do, by the house, maybe do some planting or something. We're not 100% sure.
Right.
We're in the process of talking to a landscape designer.
Okay. Because of course, if we approve this, that's gonna be contingent upon you ripping out the old driveway, obviously.
Correct.
We don't wanna have that, the new driveway and the old driveway on the property, that's gonna defeat the whole purpose of what we're doing.
Correct.
Okay.
It doesn't seem that that's overly huge, you know?
No. I mean, I like that there is a net decrease in the overall coverage. We're basically trading a lot of driveway for a little driveway and a garage and a deck and a porch, front porch.
And the intent of the design is to keep the house, although it is in excess of what is permitted, and that's what we're looking for, but the house itself, the design of the house, we're trying to keep it low because it is on top of the hill. We're trying to keep the massing sort of still residential looking and not like this McMansion on top of a hill.
Right.
So
And you said this is a one-story ranch style house, right?
that's existing, yes.
Yes, that's what's out there now. Right.
Are there two separate sets of plans as far as what shows as far as the garage and the lot coverage? Was the garage here is smaller than the garage is here, right?
No,
Okay.
no. No, I think the same.
Should be the same.
Yeah, same plans.
Looks a little different.
28 by 42. That should be 28 by 42 also.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little different. All right.
Here it is, right there.
All right.
You know, when you have a one-story house, naturally, of course, it's gonna cover more area
Yeah, it
on the
spreads out,
lot,
yeah.
you know, as opposed to having two-story, right? Any other comments or questions right now from the board? No. Concerns? Well, okay. Let me just put this out to the public. Anybody here wish to speak in regard to this application? Any comments, questions? Nope. Okay. So what do we think on this?
So maybe I was confused. The calculation for lot coverage does or does not include driveways in calculating the 6%.
Broken out.
No, I know for this property, but just in general, according to the code, I have to be 6% or under.
For the
right?
house, for the principal dwelling.
For an accessory, for any buildings on the property.
Right, which includes, well, is that
Which-
just principal, or is it other?
The code just states, principal building will not exceed 6% of lot coverage. Accessories to the principal will not exceed more than 3% of lot coverage. There was something,
Accessories meaning driveways and other things
I
like
was
that.
looking at the total, I don't recall what it was, but the referral to the planning department for the environmental determination looks at all impervious surfaces. They consider that when you're doing an application.
I wasn't able to find that code. I found similar code for other district types. I just couldn't find one for residential. Do you know, you don't happen to know what chapter?
I think one good thing about this also is that certainly a macadam driveway is an impervious surface. A deck is considered an impervious surface, but let me say it's probably a better impervious surface. Yeah, than a driveway.
Yeah.
So I think that does, and overall, even if we weren't to grant it, they'd still have more lot coverage than what's proposed under the new application.
Yeah, well,
It's either-
basically, that
the
hasn't
garage-
changed.
Yeah, it's a net change down. They're decreasing the
Right.
overall lot coverage.
Right.
So they're improving the coverage. The only thing we're basically trading out a lot of driveway for a small driveway and a big
And a
garage.
three-car garage.
And right, a 3-car garage. There's a deck and, okay. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to excuse Mr. Santoroni, and that's fine. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure
Good
that
night.
I think the intent here is met with the impervious surfaces. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the actual code,
Right.
which wouldn't include the driveway.
Right.
In that initial calculation, if you were just calculating straight lot coverage, it wouldn't normally include a driveway, which is why this is already,
Well, the driveway is part of the lot coverage. Any impervious surface is considered part of the lot coverage. It's not the 6% for the primary dwelling, but it's part of the overall lot coverage calculation.
And there's 3% allowed for that.
because you
Yes.
said the primary building and accessory buildings.
Yes, because primary building is supposed to be 6%. Accessories, I guess, are 3%, which includes driveways and other things not, other than the primary residence.
Okay.
Right.
So that's where the coverage should really be at.
Was there any consideration to have the garage be 2-car to decrease the size of the driveway and reduce the percentage?
It was a discussion, however, with the age of the family and the children and additional cars coming into play as they're approaching their, mid to later teens, they wanted to have more indoor parking available for the cars. And also for storage for lawn equipment and things like that.
How many cars are we talking on the property, do you know?
It's like,
Four cars.
(170-3) talks about site coverage in the code. That's the definition. I think, and then when you go to site coverage, it says see lot coverage or something like that. I'm recalling. Site coverage, the definition includes all impervious surfaces.
Okay, there we go.
Driveways, everything.
Right.
And then when you go, that's the definition, and when you go,
There's also,
it throws you back to lot coverage.
Yeah, they kind of bounce you back and forth in the zoning code.
there's a different number for like a shed or something that's detached, correct?
Yeah, I believe that
That's a
falls under
separate-
the
that's a separate
accessory heading.
Okay, I just wanted to, for me, I just wanted to clarify that the code said it was all impervious surfaces, not just buildings. So clearly driveways are included.
My understanding is
So-
that it means all impervious
Yeah,
surface.
all
This is
impervious.
already over, and it's actually being reduced.
Yeah, that's how I kind of look at it, because this big driveway here, on the site plan is going. Current lot coverage is 6,226, we're going down to 5,930, so we're reducing 296 of square feet lot coverage here, according to the plans. So if we do nothing, the house and the coverage is still a lot more than what it would be under the proposed.
But that would be considered pre-existing, so it would be,
Pre-existing, and
Okay.
nothing you do about that.
Right.
Right. He's certainly moving in the right direction. I mean, he was covering more of an issue, so the lot coverage seems to be good.
Generally, if you're making your lot coverage less, you don't do stormwater. if you're making the coverage less, as far as hardscape goes, you typically don't have to do stormwater, like, driveways or anything like that.
You don't have to do
No,
driveways. You're right.
typically not, no. Question, you rendered.
I would think the engineering department, that's their primary concern. If they had a concern, they would, just, do a permit to lessen the impervious surface.
Right.
If they couldn't, for some reason, get their stormwater mitigation practice, didn't have the room for it.
Right.
What's the number that kicks in this stormwater? 100 square feet?
That's a whole other chapter. I'd leave that up to.
Yeah, the.
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, the letter that we got back from engineering, which I failed to bring with me, mentioned that the only thing that we would have to be concerned with is during construction,
Silt fence along.
silt fencing, hay bales, the usual thing, but they didn't mention anything about any stormwater or catch basins, that sort of thing.
Right. What you're proposing here isn't having any issue with the septic fields or wellhead or anything like that?
Not at all.
How far is the next house to the left?
Are you talking about the eastern? If you're looking at the site plan, you're talking about to the left where the existing driveway is?
Over this way?
Oops,
You're talking about over here or on this side? They're almost doing more work over on this side, yeah.
the opposite side of the garage.
We have an existing side yard setback there of 34.1 feet, and we're not improving anything along that property line. Although the proposed
Except
deck.
adding the deck, right.
But what happens is that climbs actually away
Right.
from the property line because
Right, and they're
it's
gonna take this
splayed.
driveway
Right.
down here out, which makes sense. Who lives here, though? Someone who lives here. Have you circularized the neighborhood for the people that, you have one person living reasonably close?
Yes.
And they're supportive?
Well, I sent out all the public notices.
Uh-huh,
I haven't heard from anybody.
So they certainly could show up here.
good.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there it is right there. Okay. Actually, I would think that your neighbor to the left might be appreciative the driveway is moving to the other side because their driveway is fairly close to this one
Right.
with a bunch of cars there.
Yeah.
You can see that existing long driveway there, Melissa.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it seems like the neighbors to the right are somewhat far away from Somerset Drive, but they kind of sit back there.
Are you talking about on Somerset Drive? They're-
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got.
Seems like there's a lot of screening along there, and the
between your house
houses
and
sit
there.
back a little bit, so, yeah.
Street and lawn, yeah, street and lawn.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I almost feel like it's an improvement from what's existing. That's the way I kind of look at this.
That's my feeling too.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay, any other further comments from the audience? Last chance. Any other comments from the board at this point in time? No. Sir, would you like to offer anything additional at this point in time?
I think we're good on this end, thanks.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready to vote then. Do we have a motion as to the type of action?
So moved.
You want a type 2 action?
Type 2 action.
Second.
Mr. Carpenetto?
Aye.
Mr. Polito?
Aye.
Mr. Harding?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Chairman Knapp? Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can we have a motion as to what we want to do on this action, on this application, either deny or accept, and any conditions we may want?
I move we accept the application as proposed.
Do we need to put a specific percentage or footage on that, or just, it'll be what's in the application?
Well, we have
Well,
to comply with this plan.
With this plan.
If we approve it, it's going to
Right.
be approved with this plan.
Okay.
Any deviation from this, they'd have to come back to us.
Right.
I'll second.
I'd like to add the condition that the existing driveway be removed and replaced with grass, the lawn, restored to
We were gonna
natural.
plan on putting a cell phone tower up there. Of course.
Yeah, no, that is a good.
Haven't voted yet.
That is a good point. Yeah, be careful, we haven't voted yet, that's right. Yeah, no, that is a good point. We assume that, but of course, the condition is that the existing driveway be
Right, so-
eliminated and pervious surface be installed, grass, plantings, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
So I amend my proposal that we accept the proposal by the person and include the addendum. Thank you.
Tom?
Second.
Mr. Carboneto?
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito?
Aye.
Mr. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Chairman Canestra?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, your
Thanks.
application is granted.
Thank you. Just as a side note, real quick, I was just looking it up. We do have a note on the site plan talking about removal of the driveway and replacement with seed and lawn, et cetera, so we've got that covered.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Next item on the agenda this evening is that of Robert and Jennifer Gajda. This is an application for a rear yard area variance for a deck addition in an R10 residential district at 3 Greenwood Drive, Mayapack. Is someone here to represent the applicant? Sir, if you could just come up and give us your name and address.
I'm Robert Gaida. I live at 3 Greenwood Drive in Maybach.
Okay. And could you briefly describe what you're looking to do here?
I was kind of hoping to put a deck on the side of the house so I can have a sliding door from the kitchen, put a table and the barbecue.
Sliding door from the kitchen out to a deck. And the variance we're looking for here is, looks like...
The house is built crooked on the lot, so if we put the deck on the side of the house, it's going to encroach on the back neighbor.
Okay.
Skew.
And it looks like the variance is 5 feet, 5.65 feet. Is that what we're looking at here, Tom? Yeah, I think it's a 25-foot setback, and it's only got 19.35. Yeah. This is in an R10 district.
Yeah, slight lot, line is within, beyond the 15 feet. It's just a rear.
Okay.
Tom, maybe you should tell the board about the change as far as the variance requirement, the
Big severe that.
adding bulk in the, within the,
Oh, yeah, if you're, right, if you go up, don't go closer, then there's no variance that's required.
we're
Right.
doing it different.
Yes, we thought that when you went up, it increased the non-conformity and the variance was required, but town council has advised us that going up doesn't do it. But that's not really the issue here that we're looking at here. No, okay. Right,
Set the grade up, so.
right. Now, this deck seems to be going over a walkway of some sort?
That's not there anymore.
That's not there now?
No, that's the old plan.
That's an old plan,
Yeah, that's
okay.
not there anymore.
Okay.
That was just fieldstones, not even fieldstone, slate.
So you can just remove
Yeah,
that or
just pick 'em
whatever,
up.
right, okay. Now, this is an R10 district, of course, which means 10,000 square foot lots are approximately there, so there are smaller lots. How close is your neighbor on the side where you're putting the deck?
I think that's 23 and a half feet. 23 and a quarter.
You mean you're talking about the property line?
Yeah.
Okay. And then your neighbor's house on the adjoining lot, are they?
Oh, it's a ways. Yeah.
It's a ways away?
Yeah, 30 feet maybe.
What is the square footage of the proposed deck?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it was going to be 8 by 12. It was going to be 12 coming up and an 8 wide.
Oh, here it is.
It looks like 8 by
13.
13, it looks like. Okay. And this is on the first story only, looks like 3 steps down,
Yep.
4 steps maybe, okay. Are they also putting a second story on this house?
Yes.
You are putting a second story on, okay. So these are some pretty big renovations you're undertaking here.
Is your house, so on Greenwood, I'm just trying to find it on the map here. From Daisy, is 2 in from Daisy?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a neighbor on either side?
Correct.
Have you had any concerns or questions from your neighbors regarding this?
No, they're glad we're staying.
Seems like the deck is on the opposite side of where your septic system is.
Correct.
Septic tank, the fields are to the other side of the house, and the tank is behind the house, it looks like.
Hey, Tommy, I have a question for you regarding the frame shed. That's all in compliance with the code at this present time?
That's not there anymore either.
Thank you.
Is there some kind of fence or something to the rear of your property?
Not really. It's for Cynthia bushes.
Okay.
So really, this plan is sort of a little bit outdated regarding, for example, the shed, the fence.
I think that's the original survey.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so the variance sought, it seems it's 5.65 feet. Okay. Any other discussions we want to have with the applicant or amongst us? Tom, are you able to locate it on the,
Yeah, I can,
it's a door?
a lot of trees, it's a little hard to see, but that pin there.
These houses are a little close in this neighborhood, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Okay. And this is, let's see here. Greenwood is, okay, so Greenwood is like, okay, so it'd be like that. Yeah, it's gonna turn it around for you.
Yeah.
It's fighting me, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I mean, I think that it's,
so it's opposite of the site plan. Greenwood's on the bottom of the site plan here. Greenwood's on the top here.
it doesn't extend any further than there was one time a walkway. It's only that half of the deck, that side of the deck that needs the variance.
Right.
Looks like neighbors around you have two-story homes. There are a number of them.
Yes.
Okay. Any additional questions of the applicant? Any more discussions we want to have at this point in time?
No, I think the size proposed is reasonable, considering the size of the proposed house.
I don't think it's a significant variance being asked here for, 5-point-something feet.
No.
And it's a deck, and I think the improvements of the house, I think, is an improvement to the neighborhood, quite honestly. So why not? Nicer house.
Won't hurt.
Yeah, I think so. Anybody here who wishes to speak in regard to this application? Any questions, comments? Nope. Okay. Any final questions for the applicant? Any final discussions we want to have? Any conditions we want to put on the application? Could ask for screening. I don't know if it's completely necessary, but
I don't know that it's needed, it's a low deck, it's only 3 steps.
yeah. I mean, what's the difference if they had a patio out there and they were sitting on a patio as opposed to the deck? Because it sits low to the.
Wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah, I don't think so. So, did you have any other comments or questions or issues? No. Okay. We ready to vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Take a motion for the type of action.
Make motion type 2?
I'll
Second.
Mr. Carpenetto?
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito?
Aye.
Mr. Gio?
Aye.
Mr. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Chairman Canestra?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion as to whether we're going to grant the application or deny it.
I'll make a motion to grant the application as submitted.
Second?
Mr. Carpenetto?
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito?
Aye.
Mr. Gio?
Aye.
Mr. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Chairman,
Aye.
I almost said Chairman Zantaroni.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Your application's granted. Congratulations, good luck with the building.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay. Next item on the agenda this evening is that of Lori Ensinger and William Kubler. This is an application for a special exception use permit for a prospective buyer to purchase the property as a residence and conduct a home occupation of teaching tennis lessons inside a pre-existing non-conforming recreational building that houses 2 tennis courts, of which a conservation easement doesn't allow for an expansion. An area variance is needed because of the distance of the recreational building to the property line in an R120 district at 24 Orchard Hill Road, Katona. Is there someone to speak?
Yes, so the application was withdrawn.
Oh, this has been withdrawn.
That was included in the meeting reminder.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is correct.
That's okay.
Okay, so this has been withdrawn at this point in time? Okay, that's right, you did tell me that, I forgot.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, so you're here to
Is
speak in
it
regard to
with-
this? Okay.
Is it withdrawn? Could it come back?
It could.
Does the
but
board
as
wanna
of
hear?
Right now, it's withdrawn.
Okay.
And if I get a new application, it's due by Friday at 4:30. For the July meeting, we don't have a meeting in August. And if we do get a new application, I will renotice all the neighbors. But it has been withdrawn.
So, we actually live here in the summer, we're one of the neighbors, we're here to understand what's going on, so thank you for
Okay.
the notice. But for some of the months in the winter, we're not here, so we might miss it if this comes back like in November or January or something.
I don't-
So
I don't
can I be notified by email if this pops up? If this comes
I'll
up?
give you another address.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I don't think it'll come back by the winter because the house is on the market now. And this was part of an impending sale proposition from, but yes, certainly, Denise, I work with the zoning department. If you look at the public notice you got, my work number's on there. Feel free to call me. And if you get on the zoning page of the website, my email's on there. feel free to email me, call me tomorrow, and I'd be happy to make a note of that for anything that might come up in the winter. You never know, it could be something else.
Yeah.
You're most
We
welcome.
just want to know what's going on with the one day.
Did you receive a mailing? Were you
We
in the
did,
mail?
we did,
And
we
mail
got.
doesn't get forwarded to your?
Well, he said they're here now.
No, right now we're here, we somehow we don't.
How long have you lived where you are now? How long have you lived where you are now?
We own the property at 20 Hilltop for about, what is it, 8 years?
Yeah, the winner's former property, from people who know the winner.
Okay.
Yeah, so we own that property for 8 years now.
Okay. Yeah, it's always best too, if you can, have your mail forwarded to you, just in case, we get a notice several months from now, are we gonna remember? We'll do our best, but,
We forward it, but sometimes the 4 days included.
right, so, okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Good night.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the May 21st, 2019 minutes. Any comments or questions, changes we have to make? Is everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just do by voice consensus. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, so the minutes have been approved for May 21st. I would like to just say one quick thing. One of the members of our board here, Umberto Santaroni, is retiring at this point in time. Sorry he couldn't stay with us until the end of the meeting, but I certainly want to thank him for his many, many years of service to this board. I'm not sure the public is aware, but we do volunteer our time here. Mr. Santaroni was not paid for all his years of service, as the other board members are not paid for their service.
Be well missed.
Yeah, and he will be missed, and I once again want to thank him for his service, and we're going to miss you, Umberto. Thank you. Last item, just make mention that our next meeting is July 16th, 2019, which is a Tuesday, and we'll be meeting in this location. Any other matters before any members of the board? Any other matters we want to discuss? Any other issues? No? No. Okay, so we're going to then conclude. Sorry, you have a, why don't you come up to the microphone if you have something you want to say to us, sir? Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure, you just give us your name?
Yeah, Matthew Fury.
Okay, and what's your address?
20 Hilltop Road in Katona.
Okay, sure.
So as I was walking out, I was just thinking, if they've withdrawn the application and the structure is there, which is, I guess, being used as a tennis school, and the prospective buyer also wishes to use this, for a tennis school, if then there's a sale that's in the works, does that mean that the new buyer will be using this as a tennis school?
Yeah, no, I can't.
That was what the application was. They had somebody that was interested in purchasing the house.
Yeah.
I think the question was, the variance will go with the property, that particular.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at the variance and see what the variance is on that property. Usually it stays with the property even for a new owner, but if a new owner wants to do something different,
There could be a stipulation. that
then they'll have to come before us. I'd have to read the existing variance and see what the conditions were on it, and
But currently it's non-conforming, right?
Yes, it is stated in that thing, it's non-conforming.
Yeah.
The structure, the tennis court structure is non-conforming.
I can't verify that it is or isn't. It may very well be pre-existing non-conforming,
So, it's a
I don't know.
hypothetical question.
I'm sorry, you have to go up to the microphone. If you could just give us your name also.
Sure. My name is Wen Fury, and I'm a resident of 20 Hilltop Road, Katona as well.
Okay.
And so the question is that from the letter we received, clearly there's a non-conforming structure there, which is a 2 tennis court structure, and the potential buyer is trying to use it as a tennis school. So our concern is that if the sales go through and it's going to be used as a tennis court, and certainly it's illegal and it could affect the neighbors enjoy our life as well. How do we actually complain about? Do we have to hire a lawyer to complain about it, or what is the procedure? Certainly it's an illegal structure.
Yeah,
Right now, we don't have that application. It was withdrawn, so that tells us that that prospective buyer is likely not going through with the purchase of the house.
Okay.
I don't know. It would be very unique if there was a second buyer who wanted to use the same thing. But if that comes back, the notice will be sent.
Okay.
However, it has been a tennis court for quite a while. I've played there quite a bit myself, so.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the concern would be, if there's a new owner, I mean, they've been wonderful, they've been very quiet, never anything over there, we've met them a couple times. But the new owner, you know, may have like big visions for the tennis school, and may not be
That's
so
right.
quiet and nice. You know,
Right.
and that's the concern.
I mean, if there was a significant change, it has to meet the current zoning code, or they have to come before us. I don't know what the existing variance says on the property, so I don't know what conditions are there. We haven't looked into it because it's been withdrawn. I was
Right.
wondering why it was so light tonight, you know, there was no packet there for it. Denise had told me that this was withdrawn, I just forgotten about it.
We have
So,
a-
so the board doesn't know, in fact, if it is conforming or non-conforming.
No,
Right.
it is a non-conforming because it's right there. It's, they admit it was a
I
non-conforming.
couldn't give you any details on it until we looked at the file on this particular property. But right now, there's no application before us, so
Understand
everything
that.
is status quo as far as we know
Right.
on the property.
Right. So in the future, if the noise level exceeds certain levels, and if we can confirm that there is an illegal structure which is facilitating the noise making, and can we come to the zoning board and to report there's an illegal structure, or do we have a higher lawyer? We just want to understand how this works.
If you believe someone is in non-compliance with the code or their
Right.
current use of the property, that would be a complaint you would make to the building department. Code enforcement officer would then take a look at that.
Okay, we're actually a very peaceful neighbor. As long as it's continue like this, we're all happy. It's really, the structure does not report. But if it's going to be, you know, based on the illegal structure, it's going to be affect the neighbors' enjoyment of life, then we probably would complain. That's our point.
I can tell you, as a tennis player, it'd be very difficult for anybody to do anything other than what has happened in the past. They've run up against the limitations of the property many times.
Okay,
Okay.
this is very helpful, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you, I'm
thank
sorry.
you. Good
Yeah.
night.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if there are no further issues then, I'm going to conclude the meeting at this point in time. Okay, like I said, our next meeting is July 16th, 2019, which is a Tuesday, and good night, everyone, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.